All right, mate. Let's look KSM here. Getting that drop here now. Bitcoin topped out. I actually shorted Bitcoin, pretty much right on the highs. Sold it already. Made 1.5% drop. I was going to share it in the chat, and then I don't know. I just didn't bother. But that's the result of this drop here. That little drop. What was that? But I should have been shorting altcoins. I tried to short AXS and it failed. It was a little bit early. I was shorting kind of here, and it looked like we were going to get another pump, and I ended up pulling out of it. But a short of Bitcoin it's a safer thing to short because it doesn't move so much, and you can still be profitable. But anyway, that's why we're getting that dip is because Bitcoin kind of put in a top there. Now, if you look at it here, actually, KSM is almost identical to Bitcoin. The big run up and kind of head and shoulders top, distribution top, and then the drop. And then we're stuck below the red 200 moving average. And you can see that this rolling pattern, Bitcoin done the exact same thing. From this rolling pattern, Bitcoin bounced. We rolled over to a new low. And from there, we bounced, got stuck underneath moving averages, and started to roll over again. I would likely expect something similar at this point, because until we can be proven otherwise, you kind of have to expect something similar because the moving averages here are still in control, and well, I shouldn't say in control, but putting pressure on price is a better way of putting it. And you can see that bounce there was suppressed. Now, a lot of times when you get suppressed like this, it needs more of a base. This is a terrible chop. Just looking at it, it's bloody awful. But it needs, you need to somehow safely get above all moving averages or whatever, and then you're free to move. As you can see in KSM here, it's pretty much the same. Can there be more of a bounce? Yes, I think there is more upside. I think we can roll up a wee bit, but how much upside is the $1 million question. You can see all these moving averages almost identical to Bitcoin. Like, are we going to get the same sort of action on Bitcoin as we did on KSM? This really terrible, choppy action. I'm not sure. But I do think the upside may be limited, and we are probably due for some chop. Like you can see, let's zoom in here. You can see Bitcoin, once it had one day, it had a second day, and even a third day or whatever to the upside. There was more upside after this first day, and we pushed up. But then it starts to get. If I put that there, that's the neckline of the previous base in a way. And if you see, I can put the neckline there in the previous base. The upside in theory would be up here somewhere, and then it needs to kind of prove itself, but you need to be careful that that upside doesn't roll over. But at this point in time, there should be more upside, just like Bitcoin had more upside into above resistance. This is resistance, and then price loves to come inside resistance to gather sell pressure or whatever. And the same sort of thing might happen here. Price might want to come back up inside that neckline somewhere up here, and then it needs to really prove itself because there's a lot of resistance above price, and not just moving average resistance. There's this neckline resistance right here. So I do think that there is upside. I'm just not too hopeful that it's going to just skyrocket higher. That's 15% bounce. Is that possible? That is very possible. 15% bounce. Yep, it's already up 18% today. So will there be, a dip in this? In theory, should be a good buy. If there is a dip back into, well, I'm just looking here because you can see the body of the previous bar and all here. This area should be support now. If there's any sort of dip down into this area tomorrow, this looks like a buying opportunity for that bounce. And if you can see, well, that's a 22% bounce, and you don't need to be greedy. If you got 15 or 20% of that, you'd be delighted. Then we need to be very careful in case price gets stuck underneath the moving averages. So I think at this point, until proven otherwise, that's the way I would play it. I would be afraid to get stuck under these moving averages and then price rolls over again. But it does look like there can be more upside.